So we're going to start today with Natalie. Could you come on up?
Hi, everyone. I just want to say first and foremost, I'm sorry for my voice. Can you hear me now? Okay. I just want to say I'm sorry for my voice. It's a little rough. I have a health condition that's kind of affecting my vocal cords, so thank you for just bearing with me. But honestly, can't believe I'm here today. Just Aiden, you started this, but I'm already getting emotional. Thank you so much for sharing your stories, and dude, I did not think I'd get this emotional, but a lot of us have probably spent a lot of time crying about this condition or trying to avoid crying because we often know that makes it flare. I can't tell you how many times I've held back tears to my husband, lamenting that I would have a flare after a crying session. So if I start crying, I'm just going to let it happen because I've got my sclerals on. But my story is not a LASIK story. I don't know how many can relate to having kind of systemic issues, kind of mysterious issues, maybe autoimmune conditions, hormonal imbalances, things like that. There's so much stuff that goes into this dry eye, and it's honestly taken me over 10 years to kind of figure out what has really caused my symptoms, and it's been a brutal journey. I'm so grateful, though, to be feeling a little bit better, and it was honestly the only reason why I agreed to come here today is because I'm starting to make a little bit of progress, and I'm super grateful for that. My story begins in 2011. I was just graduated from college the year before, and I had just gotten married. I was really excited about life, but I was also a contact lens abuser, I like to call it. I wasn't really caring for my eyes properly. I didn't know about, lid hygiene, like what was that, and eventually got to a point where I couldn't wear my contact lenses anymore. So I was full-time in glasses. I kind of just accepted that. And then I eventually got to a point about 3 years later when it was almost like overnight, horrible dryness, horrible redness, horrible pain. And I had no idea what was going on. So I went to my local eye doctor, and I was told, you have a low tear breakup time. You have what's called dry eye. They educated me on the meibomian glands. I'd never heard of any of this stuff. So they gave me lid wipes and eye drops and a brooder mask and sent me home. Looking back now at my patient notes, I've kind of deduced that I probably had Demodex mites, but none of that was ever mentioned at the time. And so I think that probably went unchecked for years. So those little nasty buggers were probably hanging out in my oil glands and eyelash follicles for years, doing a ton of damage, causing a ton of inflammation. Concurrently, what was going on was, now that I realize now, looking back later, I had a lot of gut microbiome issues, a lot of immune dysregulation, and a lot of that was causing issues with facial flushing that I honestly had no idea. I had no idea what was going on with that. And to be honest, I've only recently discovered this year some of those connections with the health of my gut, my immune system. I don't know if you've ever heard of mast cell activation syndrome, but I deal with that. That's caused a lot of problems with eye inflammation as a result, and also hormonal imbalances. So I did a lot of fertility treatments because my husband and I, when we decided to get pregnant, we couldn't. We didn't know why. We decided to move forward with a variety of fertility treatments, and the hormones for that were brutal. And those caused a lot of cascading problems with my eyes because there's a major hormonal connection there. So I eventually got to the point where I really wanted a baby, and I had all these frozen embryos, and I wanted to do an IVF transfer, but I had to put all of that on hold because every single time I tried to start the hormones to prep, it would flare up my eyes. So it was pretty depressing. And when I was at my worst, I was homebound. I'm still kind of semi-homebound in some ways. And I was really, honestly, suicidal. I know some of you can really relate to that. It's really horrible when you feel like your life is just completely over in a lot of ways. When you can't go out, you can't read books, you can't watch TV. I couldn't go camping anymore. I couldn't do a lot of social things that I loved doing. And then, of course, I had to put the IVF dreams on hold. So it was a lot of researching, reading every paper I could, just trying desperately to understand, talking to doctors, joining the Facebook group at the end of 2020 when my eyes got even worse. I was so grateful to meet so many of you there and to just learn so much. I just soaked it all in, and it was so wonderful to have that community of people who got it. So I started advocating for myself really hard, got IPL, did probing, tried all the drops, did all the things, and then eventually got to the point where I could do an IVF embryo transfer. And because my eyes got a little better, and it gave me a little hope, and I was able to do it. But then a week after I did the transfer and got pregnant, my eyes just tanked. So I spent my entire pregnancy absolutely miserable, in so much pain, and basically I wore motorcycle goggles the entire time. So I wasn't feeling beautiful enough by any means to do a maternity shoot. So I forego all of that. I didn't even get to do a baby shower. It honestly felt like a funeral rather than, a happy pregnancy. But every single day I fought, and it was brutal, and I got through it. And I had my beautiful daughter. And she traveled with me here today. Well, not today, but to this. I came from Colorado. She traveled with me. She's with my parents right now. And I'm really grateful to them, really grateful to my family, my husband, and all the people that have supported me. Thank you. Dude, this disease is brutal, man. So I'm so grateful. I fought. I'm learning a lot about my body. I'll talk a little bit more about that later. But there is hope because I am doing a little better. And I'm really grateful that I've been able to overcome everything I have, the treatments I've been able to do, all of you guys that have been so wonderful. My story isn't over yet because I'm still on the journey. But yeah, I'm doing the best I can with being really, really determined, annoyingly determined, hyper curious. So I'm not going to let this thing beat me. And I just want us all to try to encourage each other in that. So thank you so much.